mean, you don't even have a melee mid laner or anything,
No.
right? I mean, you've just got look, Sejuani's still really, really strong. She's got, she's made of CC. She is a true tank. You're not relying on, IU. He is a tank, but he is a support tank. So you see the vision here for Los Grandes, but it feels it feels uninspired to me, and it feels like it could play right into Furia's hands, right? Furia want to create chaos. They have momentum, we talked about it, but they also have just things that you don't plan for. And I think Los Grandes, right, they want to stick to their plan, if nothing else. They don't want to deal with Furia's BS. Like the Belveth and Blitz bans, you spent 40% of your bans on that. That tells me all I need to know about how you want to play this game.
That's right, and I think that is how most teams approach Furia at this point. We don't want to deal with your BS. You've got massive champion pools. You've got a lot of oddball picks that we don't necessarily know how to play against, and that to me is the value of these out-of-pocket picks, where you just kind of go like, okay, I've not played this matchup. I might know theoretically, but I don't know the exact breakpoints. Now, compositionally though, Los Grandes, despite not having the melees, do have a very strong front to back with Sejuani, with the Gnar, and I think a lot of it will come down to Natuno specifically. Red-White, we joke about how strong it is. Personally, I've always been a proponent of Infernum Gravitum, but for this match, it is going to be about Red-White because you're facing a meatball composition. The question is, how fast can you shred? How fast can you mince this meatball? For Fury, on the other hand, they've got the Deathball composition. If they get snowballing, they can dive you easily. They will not stop, but they have to get ahead, and you've got Goot on the J4. I said it for F&B, gank that top lane, get it snowballing, but really gank any and every lane, because once you get your lanes ahead, you dominate the mid game. You should be crushing any of these skirmishes.
Ooh, you got just the raw end of the deal on that Nautilus hitbox for once. It latched onto the very edge of that wall, but pulling the trigger, level 2, as you should be doing. Going to be traded right back here. Actually, Ayu going right back in. The Ignite burned down on him. Guardian popped his, or not Guardian, excuse me, just his W shield there. But Trigo, not going to take a ton of damage here. 1, 2, 3 summoners traded. Goot hovering on the bot side, just dropping a little vision down there. But like you said, this is a different look for Goot, right? And this is, the job description with Jarvan. It does fit well into the rest of the composition, right? You have this kind of hot pot death ball composition. So it has an identity, right? And Los Grandes, I'm glad you pointed out, because I feel like we were verging on being unfairly critical of their draft. But it does have strengths. A Gnar, you always worry because, into a Silas, one, that feels bad. 2, it is telegraphed, right? That has been always the complaint with Gnar. Yes, it is a huge game-changing ultimate. He could do a lot. His build paths have diversified. You could stick him in a side lane. The Trinity Force, I think, has given him so much more diversity as a champion, so much more viability. But the reality is, in the late game, you are a one-button Boris.
Yeah, and it's not an easy button to press either. It's so conditional. You got to charge the Gnar bar. Yeah, which is why I love the fact that at least they do have Ranger for primary engage. You've got a true one-button Boris where the button's always available. If you press R, it works every single time. And that buys time for Herod to get in position to charge up his Rage bar. Now, the other person I do think that we need to look at for Los Grandes in the early game is going to be Lava in this mid lane. Because you picked this LeBlanc to win this matchup against Silas specifically. If you're not beating out Envy, if you're letting Envy skill, you've already lost that mid fight. And Ranger, you can go in there, you can try and influence this. I love that IU's actually first to move here, covering the mid lane to make sure Envy doesn't go down. Los Grandes could probably still pull the trigger if they want. They do have a numbers advantage, but I don't know if they get the kill. Maybe just the flash.
Yeah, both supports immediately recognizing the potential volatility of this matchup, but just the importance of it, I think maybe is more accurate, and taking a roam up there pretty much immediately on that first back. Just grabbing their first items. They both went commencing stopwatch, minion dematerializer. Now, here's an interesting stat. They flashed up for both of these teams. With a lead at 25 minutes, which is an uncommon break point, but at least they were consistent across both sides. With an advantage at 25 minutes, Los Grandes, 91% win rate. Furia, 93. so someone's going to have a bad time.
I feel like every time you see that stat, though, for the addendum to that needs to be, what percentage of games are you ahead?
Yeah.
At 25 minutes. Because Los Grandes has lost 3 games, won 1 game in the playoffs so far. So I feel like the stats might get partially warped by just how much lead do you really have, or how frequently do you get that lead?
It's a slow hook, but it does land onto Ayu. Ignite comes down, and here comes Goot as well. First blood does go over to Ranger. Is it too little too late? No, junglers trade kills onto supports. Natuno got the blue-purple, your favorite combination here, and not able to rain down just enough damage. Even if they get the root off, Ranger kind of low. Probably is a one-way trip if he finishes up that engage. 1 for 1. Attention being paid to the bot lane early in this one.
Yeah, and first blood goes, or both kills, pardon me, go to the junglers as well, Ranger and Goot. And 4-4, we didn't get too deep into both of these guys and their history together, but we said before Goot was the replacement for Ranger. Envy.
Woo! Lava waited out the chains there. Got the deep vision, able to get out of dodge. Had his ultimate, had his passive up, and held onto the flash as a result.
That was kind of dicey there, considering that Lava basing in dangerous positions. We get the replay on how this fight breaks out. And what I want to highlight is Ranger and Goot. The fact that Ranger is first to this bot lane here is literally the major difference in his ability to get in there. By the time Goot shows up, the fight's already over. Sure, Goot's able to pick up on the back end, but first blood was more important. With the rest of the fight, I also do want to highlight that Trigo and Goot were winning the 2v2, and that's one of the issues with the Sejuani there. You're not as strong on the early ganks, and that's why I wanted to see Goot gank early. This is supposed to be the replacement. Frankly, I'd argue that I think Ranger's looking a little bit better. You're farming faster, you're ganking faster, and you got first blood.
Yeah, he's being a lot more efficient. And the pings are starting to come down as well with the lane shoved in on the top side. Dragon has spawned here. Lots of pings in the river on both sides. FNB maybe recognizing that, saying, okay, Ranger was just down bot, probably looking up. I've got this lane shoved in. And he, as soon as the ping came out, the blue side ping saying, hey, I might be looking top. What equally came out was FNB throwing down an on my way ping into the jungle. He's level 7, right? Ranger's only level 5. So it would have been tough to take that fight. But yeah, with the dragon spawning here, yeah, to circle back to your point, Ranger, mega efficient with his pathing. He loves playing these, well, I don't know if he loves playing these types of junglers. That is what he is known for. We had that discussion in the past. But yeah, I mean, look, at one point that CS lead was up to 10. His back timings have been very, very good. And both, you know, the trips to the lanes have been efficient so far.
Yeah, I remember back in 2020, that was the last time Ranger has won a playoff series, was 2020 Split 1 in his infamous Graves era. And at that time, Ranger was saying that, yeah, he hates these sort of meta slaves, the utility tank junglers. He likes junglers that can carry, but frankly, he's looked way better on these Sejuanis than he did back in his Graves era. So I don't know if his mindset has changed. We'll have to see. Certainly, the results argue that he's much better on these meta slaves. Both junglers are level 6. The big AoE ultimates are online, and it's time for Furia. The death ball composition should be almost ready to go. Bot side might need a bit more time to get the killer instinct and the depth charge, but they shouldn't be too far off.
No, and again, it feels bad because they are in a good spot to take, well, okay, just as I say that, Envy does grab himself a lost chapter, but I was going to point our eyes to the mid lane where Lava up 20 CS, and he was up a good little item chunk there, right?
True.
But just, I guess, gambling here that Envy not going to be on time down there. He is a little bit stronger, but Lava still with the one-shot potential. They walk right over the ward. They started the dragon, not going to finish it, are Los Grandes. But Ayu and Trigo, they were waiting there in that bush to potentially spring a trap once Envy did get back. He had the TP, right? So he can, you know, still TP to those wards. We know he can't TP to wards. You can TP to towers. Here goes the Ragnarok, but a manaless FNB does pop the ghost, put some pressure on Here It still has his ultimate, so could potentially do something with that with FNB with no mana, but he's just so strong. The auto attacks do so much work. Now, attention being repaid to the dragon here. Lava walking over some wards here, and it's actually Furia that get first purchase on it. 4 men bot.
Yeah, the meatball is starting to roll here. Los Grandes trying to get in position, but it's taking so long. Dragon is almost 2/3 gone. Ranger, he's positioning for a steal.
He peeks out, ult out, and he swipes it. Great steal. There goes the ultimate. Moonlight Vigil down. So much damage from Los Grandes. It goes beautifully. It could not have gone better. They might get 4 out of this RMC. Holy moly, it's a disaster for Furia. Ranger and Lava, unbelievable.
We called it a meatball comp, and Los Grandes is eating good for breakfast right now. Just went right in, collapsed and took it. It was so free for Los Grandes. And slight question marks from Furia, not positioning properly to zone out Ranger. When you're 50-50ing a dragon like that, you got to make a choice. Are we going for the dragon or are we going for the fight? Because they hesitated both ways. They got neither.
Yeah, that feels so bad. And now with that, Ranger gonna just march on up to the top lane.
Yeah.
And top river, I should say, and grab himself a Rift Herald. Man, Los Grandes out of nowhere break open a 3,000 gold lead. And Lava keeping the pressure on here, knowing he's got the escape tools. Ooh, but he escapes right into the loving arms of IU and Envy. IU looking for the kill here. Lava with the clone able to escape. Oh, Good almost had the kill there. If he lands that, he's out of tower range. He might be able to just auto-attack Lava to death.
Yeah, but Lava just distorted. That wasn't even the flash blown from this LeBlanc, the Deceiver, and Furia are firmly on the back foot. A lot of this, I'm going to put at the feet of Goot, or at Ranger, I suppose. The two junglers, the fact that Ranger walked and stole that away, and even in that particular fight, Goot, a little bit slow to the move, not able to get there. We get the replay now of the dragon fight. And again, look at Furia's positioning and how they want to do this. They don't have the vision for this. Ranger walks up, and look how they're not sure what they want to do. The moment you saw Ranger, you needed to step up to block him, or you needed to make the call, hey, we just burn this dragon and get out. Because they hesitated, because Goot and because IU weren't doing the dragon, they took too long, and Ranger just gets to stroll and take that and get his revenge on his former teammates.
And he just dumped everything into that, right? It was Q ult smite right there onto Goot. Goot was being taken low. He said, no, look, it's not just me, right? When I go in, but that's good coordination. When I go in, Lava's going to go in as well, right? Goot has no defensive items right now, right? He's on his way to a few. I mean, I don't even know if he had that Kindle gem, but point is, he just went in there and just obliterated the jungler from even contesting it, right? Just eliminated the possibility of a smite fight. And then IU was kind of playing bodyguard as well, but too late to react. Very well done here. The coordination and communication from Los Grandes has resulted in a 4,000 gold lead. First two neutral objectives have gone their way as well. And now Lava's got himself a mythic item. I love the pickup here of the Everfrost into a melee heavy composition, right? If Trigo missteps, he could potentially lock him down as well. Beautiful Herald charge off here. And man, Lava's being shifty on this LeBlanc, man. Look, we were critical of it in draft, and I think rightly so for the reasons that we laid out, but it's doing his job.
Yeah, and we had said that we do expect the LeBlanc to win out in the laning phase. Lava has made good on that, and more importantly, it's how Los Grandes are going to play around their power spikes. The fact that all their lanes are hid right now, what can they do with that? I love the pressure. I especially love the Herald drop in the mid lane, because if you can crack that turret, then that unlocks Lava to really leverage that early LeBlanc strength, while Envy doesn't get to roam out. And Furia right now, where is their answer? It's not like they don't have early game answers, despite the fact that they fell behind. The J4 is still a very strong force. Trigo in that bot lane still has a lot of kill threat onto Natuno anytime he's not running the Crescendum as one of the guns. Have we seen the ganks bot? No.
No. It's just been a response, right? And I mean, I don't know if he knew that Ranger was there, right? Maybe Goot would have been on his way to gank, and just Ranger was there at the kind of the right place and the right time for both sides, I guess. Goot is the first one on his team, besides Trigo, so not really, to get that mythic item. It was still down 30 CS, right? I mean, and 2 kills and 3 assists for Ranger, 100% kill participation. You were right to do so. Ranger, early MVP right now. He's playing the Sejuani exactly as you wanted to, and again, with some disadvantageous situations, right? But he's not making his living right now on lane ganks, right? Where you do get a lot more value out of, as the first tower goes down, out of those melee auto attacks, the interactions with the Sejuani passage, the notorious Sejuani passive, but still 100% kill participation for Ranger, farming his little furry butt off, and the rest of his team doing A-okay as a result. Let's talk about the top lane here. 20 CS up for Hirit.
Hirit, Lava, these solo laners for Los Grandes, there's a lot of expectations, and there's never been any real question about their individual ability. It's always been about how they can work together as a team and coordinate. And right now, they're well in their laning phase. Ranger hasn't visited topside, hasn't needed to. We saw FNB kind of threaten Hirit occasionally, but without Goot there, there's just not enough kill threat. You just win those trades. Second dragon being started up here. Furia are actually going to commit to trying to stop this, but it feels like way too late.
And with red, white, Natuno just helping absolutely melt this dragon. Hook lands, chain CC there. Lava trying to get the root down, avoids the hook. Well played by Lava early on this LeBlanc. Hear it, just trying to lay down the hurt, get the slowdown on FNB. They went for a sort of pincer there, but it was too little too late. Ranger and company, the first one of the dragons that time, and they just shredded right through it.
Yeah, way too slow from Furia to respond. And the approach they came in as well just was not it. FNB, yes, Olaf flanks are really risky, or not risky, they are really dangerous and scary. But that's when Olaf is ahead. And more importantly, that's when you can actually see where the enemy team is and get your pincer off. When an Olaf is spotted, you saw Los Grandes, they picked that perfectly. Turn on the weaker side, push off FNB. FNB cannot even slow you down. And huge props to the discipline from Los Grandes to not try and fight that 5v5. I think Furia, despite being down 5k gold, still has avenues back into the game, and giving them kills is the worst possible thing. Stifle them, slow down the pace of the game, let your Aphelios scale. Los Grandes do that perfectly.
The lead has jumped up to 5,500 now. Still ahead 5-1 in those kills that came or 4 of them I should say, because there was a 1-1 trade early, and then after that first dragon fight, it went 4-0 for Los Grandes. Hard not to ignore that one as the game's main inflection point, obviously. But, but since then, Los Grandes have done a good job of keeping on leveraging their lead. The lead was 4,000 at that point. It is now 5,000. They got a really good Herald charge off. They got the second dragon, and have just been first to move on pretty much everything. They have been the aggressors, right? Furia have had to react, but they've had a really, really rough time of doing it. Ranger and Lava have been ruling the Rift in game 1.
Yeah, and they continue to do so. Herald being picked up, second Herald here, and Envy in that top side alone has to be very careful about that. When you see that Herald go down, you know that you're in danger. You could get collapsed on. FNB answering on the other side of the map. The 4x4, Los Grandes, the first time these two teams met in the regular season, Los Grandes won. The second time, Furia won. When Los Grandes won, it was a 45-minute, 48-second grind, and that was the massive lead throughout this game. So the start from Los Grandes is good, but the big question for Los Grandes has always been closing out and working together as a team, and I've yet to see their sort of mid to late game yet. It's a really, really good start. I'm hopeful, but Furia do still have scaling with that Olaf, with that Silas.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you pulled the reins back on the horses. That one didn't take off. But yeah, because and it's funny because it's a bit of shades of 2021, and early 2022 Flamengo, right? How many times did we see them when those teams fell apart, right? You say, okay, great, they've got themselves an early lead, but then they just kind of put one finger up their nose and the other where the sun don't shine and just stand there and wait for the game to end. Right, we've seen that a lot, and you pointed that out because that hasn't changed all that much for Los Grandes. Now they've gotten themselves fewer kind of early game leads, but yeah, this is the right steps being taken here. FNB has found himself caught up. Meanwhile, in CS, he's on an item and a half. Like Herit, he was able to take down the bot lane tier 1 for Furia's first of the game. Yeah, we haven't really seen FNB unlocked in this one just yet. Is that a fair criticism, right? Goot just not being able to find anything up top. Should there have been more focus up top? Because for me, when I try to answer that question, I don't really know, because I wasn't paying much attention to the top lane, so I don't know, different wave states, vision up there. Oh, would it even been worth it for Goot to get up there, etc.
Oh, 100%. Because here it was actually pushing out, and the lane was fairly neutral for the most part. It's gankable for Goot. And one of the biggest issues with Gnar in competitive play is the fact that he's very vulnerable to ganks. Mini Gnar is incredibly squishy, and if you've got a gap closer, that's one of the easiest ways to punish. In an extended lane against an Olaf as well, it's so easy to run them down. Envy and Lava just trading chains there. It's like trading jerseys, right? Except in the middle of a game.
Something like that, yeah. Lava also picked himself up an Oblivion Orb. And into the into the Olaf and the Envy and the Silas again with a Everfrost. Thank you. You know your job as LeBlanc, right? You are there to lock down anyone that steps out of position, and Lava has shown that he can get himself out of trouble, right? I think he's held on to that flash. I don't think he's pressed F once this entire game.
I mean, if you don't have to, you don't have to. There hasn't been a lot of kill threat from Lava onto Envy as well, so we're not seeing the flash used aggressively. It's pretty much strictly defensively. Dragon is spawned, and this time Furia actually in position to try and contest it. But Los Grandes, they're actually playing their macro really, really clean right now, using the Herald to pressure that out so that they're getting full control over this Dragon area.
Yeah, and maybe a bit of a feint, right? As Ranger, usually you see you drop the Herald, you make them make a choice, and you kind of roll on back to the Dragon. But they made a little bit of an aggression early on there. Lava throws the chains out over the wall. He's got to be careful, though. Between Envy and Goot, you've got a stolen ult and an actual ult that could be bad news bears. Oh, Sejuani ult completely wasted here. Everfrost goes down. Natuno in. Now he might be in trouble here, able to get out. Goot throws down the Cataclysm, but he finds just himself in a lot of danger. Los Grandes play the fight out slowly. The missed ultimates, the wasted opportunities from Furia come back to bite them. 2-0 plus a Dragon. Los Grandes tightening their grip on game one.
Yeah, and Furia, they pulled the trigger at the appropriate time. They kind of had to right there. That is so point. And Furia, their composition is falling further and further behind. We are past 20 minutes, 4-4, and I just realized Los Grandes, with those kills, it's not just so point, it's Baron on the table.
And as another stat, their Baron take percentage, I think, was the stat first in the league. So they again, we're still into the mid game here, but a 9,000 gold lead as a funny way of forgiving all manner of sins, right? You just have so much more cushion to work with. Trigo not able to do anything with that W. I mean, man, let's take a look at this fight. It starts off with the blown ultimates, and then once they realize that it's just kind of a sunk cost fallacy, they say, look, we got to go in no matter what.
And Hirit had fully charged Rage Bar as well. They knew that Furia was going to come in because they don't have a choice, either that or give up the Dragon for free. And with that Mega Gnar as well, Hirit tanks it up, is able to disengage, not even dying, buys so much time for the rest of this team to just shred through Furia. And Furia, because they're behind, they look so squishy. They don't have the tanky items they need to be that meatball.
Yeah, Goot kind of went in after the fact, and I think it was partially because he kind of went in alone, right? So he was going to be the only target, and the Cataclysm almost worked against him in that sense. But it was, I mean, I've been there as Jarvan. You go in, you press your ult, and you realize you're alone. You go, oh, this was a mistake. And before you can blink and deactivate your ult, you're down to a third of your health.
A lot of the answers that I think Fury have drafted in this composition have not been able to take off. I like the Olaf a lot. I like the Silas, a lot. It's just not been able to do anything. Envy has not been receiving ganks. FNB has not been receiving ganks. And now Goot, the J4, you picked it strictly for the early game. Now that we're in the late game, Gnar is a hard counter to J4. You raise that Cataclysm, you're just giving Hirit free stuns. And we kind of saw a little bit of that in that fight. It's only going to get worse. And so for Furia right now, for them to come back in, it's got to be picks. We've seen Trigo put out the damage. We've seen Envy put out the damage. It's not enough in these fights. They're not doing it quickly enough. But if they can manufacture picks in these extended lanes, they can still try and find a kill, find an objective. There's an 8k gold lead. That's roughly going to be equivalent to one member of the team, barring support. If Zai goes down, it doesn't change anything for Los Grandes.
And that's a tough spot to find yourself in. That sentence you just said right there, right?
Yeah.
Like that, if you're going just by the numbers, you could make the fight a 5v4, and it might not matter just on raw power. Yeah, that's a really tough spot to be in. 2.5 items for each AD carry, right? So let's take stock of this actual lead. Hear it up on his counterpart there, but now FNB has that Jack Show, a lot of stacking resistances, and he's going to be a lot more durable with that healing as well. But Ranger, with the Radiant Virtue, he's happy to play out these extended fights. The Sejuani with a Radiant Virtue is something a little silly. IU able to land a hook here. Envy looking for a potential different angle. Hear it. Has his ultimate, but doesn't have Narbar charged. Now the Gnar taken away. Envy can drop that pretty much on command. Natuno able to get over the wall. Now they're going to take a big old Baron wave. It's just 5v5 up in the top lane. CC Immunity going to bail out FNB with the Ragnarok, but that is down to use it defensively. IU gets gobbled up. Envy trying to get over the wall, but here it goes over and just smashes him to bits. Oh, here it having one of his better games of the split right now. Just a great heads-up play, cutting off the flank before it even happens.
Yeah, and a lot of that's coming off of Lava as well, just making sure that Furia never gets the engage they want. Los Grandes, where was this disciplined play throughout the second half of the round robin? This is what they look like at their peak, when they know exactly what they need to do, when the team is working as a whole. The disengage, the walk back, extending FNB and IU out, and the instant turn when they get that CC, the poke coming through. And for Furia, I feel really bad. They're looking for these engages. They're using the abilities, but unless you full send it, hard commit, you're just not going to catch Los Grandes. And if you do full commit at this point, we talked about it, Los Grandes is basically up a man from just sheer gold.
And in that in that fight that we just, or 2 fights ago, I should say, in the bot river, it was mistimed, not even mistimed ults, because like you said, they pulled the trigger at the right time, but mis-executed ults. And then that turned the rest of the engages that Furia want with their composition, which isn't quite as easy to execute kind of front to back as Los Grandes have drafted themselves. But then in that one, that was Los Grandes, right? Just like they know they have the agency here, right? Once one hook goes out from IU, I give Hirit a ton of credit there because he's not looking to get like maximum value out of that ultimate. He's just looking to stop one man, right? And to negate the engages because that's how Furia are going to get back into this game, if at all. Man. Envy able to grab himself a Sejuani ult. So again, they know what Furia want to do. They know that that is the only way they're going to get back into this one. And here we go. Soul Point. You got to do something about this. I mean, as if this team needs an Ocean Soul RMC.
No, Furia can't find kills. They got 1 kill from the first Dragon fight, and that's been it all game long. Dragon's already gone.
It's already gone before the fight even starts. Goot in, Goot out. Good stopwatch. Envy with a stopwatch of his own. Trigo into the backline, doing what he can. He's pumping out decent damage, but he gets jumped on immediately, hiding in the bushes. The one place to go, so that's the one place you're going to get found. Envy taking down a lot of members of Los Grandes, though, and the Ragnarok actually buying FNB a lot of time here. They are just pests. They might be able to do something here. Not enough, though. The lead is too much. A triple kill for Hirit, and that's got to be so frustrating if you're a Furia fan. You saw what could happen, but the lead was insurmountable by that point.
You saw what needed to have happened 10 minutes ago, 4x4. It's just way, way too late. And with the Ocean Soul, that fight, honestly, without Ocean Soul, maybe Furia can actually turn that. But you saw the tankier members, Hirit, Ranger, heck, even Lava with the Everfrost and Morello has quite a bit of health right now. They just don't die, and the healing comes through. Trigo did a ton of upfront burst damage, but the moment Trigo went down, Furia just don't have what they need to close this one out. And the engage as well, it was kind of late. They were just so far out, and unfortunately for FNB, he had no flash. So FNB has to cut through that front line, has to run all the way into the back, and throughout the entire time, the Tuno just pump out more and more and more and more damage. By the time you kill him, your damage threats are gone, and then that's just Ocean Soul you can see ticking away.
Yeah, and Trigo sacked himself to take down Natuno, right? So, unironically, good job, but too many other things had to go right. And like you said, whether it's the Ocean Soul or just the fact that you're up almost 10,000 gold before that fight even starts, you start the fight on the back foot. This is not high-level analysis here, right? But again, you see, look, total damage to champions in that last fight. FNB and Envy, 7,000, 4,000. Here it did 6,000. Right? Like, if you are relegating all the damage to a Gnar on the enemy team, you are doing something right.
Fair. But the question is, how often can you force that sort of situation?
No, of course. But I say that to fuel your point, which is, you saw what needed to happen, what could and should be happening, but the lead is just too big.
Yeah. If this was earlier, yes, you can get your hands on Natuno. You can force that sort of situation a lot sooner. But this time, the cost to get to Natuno is simply too damn high. And while all this is happening as well, let's not forget Los Grandes pinned themselves into a pit without the ability to get out. I don't think that happens too frequently. And Baron is the other opportunity where it might happen. But look at the vision setup. Los Grandes have so much vision. They have interference that Lava is running right now. Baron,
FNB is completely unseen here. They've got to know he's going to try something. Ranger throws out his ultimate onto Goot. And now the team is actually separated here. But IU going to be taken out of the fight if nothing else. Los Grandes actually might back off this Baron. Indeed, they will. IU is down. It's a 4v5. It's the least important member. And Envy does have a Gnar ultimate. Lava, they're looking for that collapse, like you said, RMC. Here we go. Envy's got the big ultimate, trying to get a lot of value out of it. But if he gets locked up by Ranger, there might be no ult to be had. Notuno gets a big ultimate down on FNB. He pops the Ragnarok. Is it too little, too late? It indeed is. Los Grandes gonna run Furia out of their own jungle. Baron be damned. Envy, actually, it's a decent amount of damage, but here it had the ultimate the whole time. You get so focused on the ultimate that was stolen, you didn't even think of the man who had it stolen from him. Here it got maximum value out of that ultimate, and it just shows you Los Grandes' dominance in this game. That was the only multi-man Gnar ult that Here it got, and they still won this game with one hand tied behind their back.
It's the only one they needed. As you pointed out earlier, Himmer's job isn't necessarily to get the multi-man out. It's to zone out the critical members like Envy, like FNB, who are going for these flanks. And even that last one there, that was just for style points. Here, going, you're approaching me? Me? I've got Mega Gnar right now. You want to go? I am tanky enough to soak and win. And Los Grandes